Well, today's episode, we're just going to do two reviews since it's Thursday. We're going to be, of course, reviewing Impact Wrestling. As you know, they're only one day away before we head to Under Siege. A lot of things are going to take place that leads to that. And of course, we got Ring of Honor with two provisional matches involving the Women's Championship and the World Championship. And of course, our very interesting main event where, of course, Samoa Joe and Zack Sabre Jr. team up to take on Matt Sydal and Christopher Daniels. If, however, Sydal and Daniels win their match, they will get title shots for either title, either the IWGP World Television title or the Ring of Honor World title. And of course, we've got a couple of news updates to tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Gerard here. So, let's begin with Impact Wrestling. We're only one day away before we head to Under Siege. Now, our opening contest, we have Mike Bailey versus Chris Sabin. Now, this is a bit of a warm-up match for Chris Sabin. As you know, both Bailey and Chris Sabin are former X Division champions, and Chris Sabin is going to challenge for the X Division title against Trey Miguel. So this is a very good one. So I think this is the first time these two ever met each other in singles competition. I'm not 100% sure, but it was a rather good one, to see, because as you know, Chris Sabin is determined to show uh, how to say Trey Miguel that he has defiled the X Division name and all that. He was very compassionate. Now, many people would have assumed that Mike Bailey would have got the opportunity of this match, but it was Chris Sabin when he applied, of course, an old move that I forgot who he meant he did, and then he applied his finisher, the Cradle Shock. 1, 2, 3. He wins his match. Macklin, as you know, last week he and his little cohorts decided to attack PCO. Now he claims that he will declare the opponent that he wants to challenge and unseat now that he took out PCO. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, Nick Aldis, as you know, has been dealing with his little dilemma. Well, not dilemma, more like, okay, you got this little punk got in his face saying that, of course, Kenny King has been getting in his face since he arrived, because it's no secret that Nick Aldis had made it clear that he will be heading, that he will definitely wants to have a opportunity of the Impact Wrestling World Championship. So Kenny King decided to team up with Sheldon Jean, who had interactions with in the past. Their opponents is none other than Decay, Black Taurus, and Crazy Steve. One thing that was very interesting is, of course, Nick Aldis believes that, Sheldon is nothing but a stooge, carrying Kenny King's luggage. That's what he thinks of him. So it's rather interesting to hear that coming from him. But, of course, Kenny King is determined to prove otherwise, that he is the real deal. But, however, all this is not going to take any crap from him, but he was very observant. But but Kenny King did apply the Royal Flush on Crazy Steve to pick up the win, and then of course a little promo and all this, and out of that, and he told him he was going to give him a little bitch slap to get his into his head. But you know how King is, he ran like a coward. Now, our next match, we have Taylor Wilde along with Kylan King. As you know, Rosemary went to the Undead Realm. She hasn't come back yet, but of course Jessica has to go on her own, knowing that she's flying solo at the moment. Now, of course, like any other match when it comes to Taylor Wilde and Kylan King, the Coven, there's distractions, and of course, the win was going to happen because we saw the Witch's Wrath conducted by Taylor Wilde to pick up the win. But however, they decided to give her a beatdown. But all of a sudden, the cameras pointed to the hourglass and someone stepped through the door. We didn't know what that was about, and it turned out to be someone named Courtney Rush. Now, it's more like the good side of Rosemary or something. It was like people are still in awe, including the commentators. But of course, Courtney Rush seems like she's up for a new adventure now. And of course, Jessica is very happy. And of course, it was later foretold they will be challenging for the Knockouts tag team titles against the Coven. Now, our next match, we have Angels of the Design taking on Rich Swann. Now, of course, X Factors in this match. Sammy will always have Swann his back, and of course, Design has uh, Angels' back. So you probably would assume that there was going to be distractions coming up, but however, it was Rich Swann with the 450. Excuse me. To put away Angels, but of course, like any other, then there's of course the beatdown that took place right after the match. Now, as you know, Deonna Purrazzo got hurt a couple of weeks ago. Now, Jordan Grace admitted to herself that there was a miscommunication and there was an accident. And Deonna Purrazzo had to, of course, agree, knowing that, the stakes are high at the moment for their Under Siege match. But Alicia Edwards is not 100% convinced. She thinks that Jordan Grace did hurt her intentionally. But, of course, it's like, who is she to decide? But she's going to be facing none other than, what's her name? Jordan Grace later on. Now, as you know, recently we saw Killer Kelly declaring Masha Slamovich her new little play toy. Well, apparently the play continued in the back, brawling all over the kitchen area of the venue. Uh, it was a savage fight out of nowhere. No one was there to stop it, but of course, Masha Slamovich choked out with wires onto Kelly. But I'm sure Killer Kelly will get her little payback against Masha Slamovich soon enough. Now, our match we have, let's call this one a squash match. We have Alicia Edwards versus Jordan Grace, but this match ended with Grace, of course, applying the Grace driver. It's over right there. Now, last week, not last week, we saw exactly what happened. Dirty Dango was the culprit behind everything. So the obvious question is, why Dango? Why? So it's more like he can't stand the younger generation, that sort of thing. New people coming, going, that sort of. So basically, that's why he did it. So, but Santino Marella will definitely get his hands on him once he comes back. Now, our next match is our main event, but this one's a very interesting one. Now, as you know, last week we saw the Good Hands, or say the Good Morons, along with Brian Myers, causing a match that involved, of course, Ace Austin and Jason Hodge, thanks to the so-called professional wrestler causing the match to win it. However, I have to say this match was a very interesting one, but also Chris Bay was well prepared. You know the old saying goes, um, well, one time shame on me, two time shame on you. So basically, he was well prepared. Chris Bay knew that Myers was gonna up to no good once again, and picked up the Arc of Phoenix, and it was over right from there. So basically, this is a very huge thing. But however, the ABC, Chris Bay, and Austin have to be more focused now with their opponents at Under Siege, and that is none other, of course, than the former NXT wrestlers, um, a subculture. That's going to be interesting to enjoy. Now, before the end of the show, Steve Macklin was declaring that PCO is out of commission and declared Champagne Singh as his opponent. However, Scott D'Amore was not too keen on that. He doesn't consider him as the world champion due to the fact that, real world champions take on the best, that they sharpen their iron. And he declares that Singh is beyond iron. So basically, he has no business there. But he did say that he does have an opponent at Under Siege, and that is PCO. Steve Macklin thinks, are you out of your mind? I took him out. But he said that he already arrived. Lights turned off, and guess who was there? So I guess Macklin had couldn't believe that his little beatdown that he and those idiots conducted last week did not do the job right. So, but the obvious thing is PCO going to dethrone Steve Macklin? Well, we'll find out when that happens after that. So I think that's pretty much it with Impact Wrestling. I believe it's time for our final review, Ring of Honor. Okie dokie, Ring of Honor. So, it starts out with a good old fashioned fight between JD Drake and Mark Briscoe. Now, Mark Briscoe, as you know, he is not, I don't think he's in a happy mood after what's been going on, but he's caught in the middle between this war between FTR and the Dickwads. So basically, that's how it goes. But, however, he has to focus on the one person standing in front of him now, JD Drake, who is no slouch. This guy can hit hard. But of course, you cannot, how do I say, deny that the master of redneck kung fu or whatever he calls it, or something, that will overcome it. That's one of the things I do like about Mark Briscoe. He will not take any crap, but he will take a hit. So that's a pretty good one. But he did finish off JD Drake with the froggy bow, and that's pretty much it. But we will see how things will go with him at Double or Nothing. Now, we do see a little interview conducted by our very own Dasha Gonzalez talking with Christopher Daniels and, of course, Matt Sadell. Now, they haven't decided who will be challenging what. If the match goes in their favor against Joe and Zack Sabre Jr. So we'll just see about that. Now, our next match, we have a provisional proving ground match for the Ring of Honor World title between Claudio Castagnoli and Serpentico. Now, Serpentico tried to show a little tough guy attitude. Now, the obvious thing is, will that work? Truth to be told, it kind of did not, but he did have the effort to show he has a bit of balls to stand up against the Ring of Honor World Champion. But in the end, he got lariat. Of course, he will not get a title shot one way or the other. Now, our next match, we have Kiera Hogan versus Vert Vixen. I thought this match was pretty good, but however, her arrival caught the attention of her current Ring of Honor World Women's Champion, Athena. So that kind of sets it all, but it took a pseudo suplex by Kiera Hogan to put away for Vixen to pick up the win. And of course, Athena attacked Kiera Hogan, making a statement. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, our next match, we have AR Fox versus Kyle Fletcher, and all this and that. We all know what was going on with Kyle Fletcher. First, he has to relinquish the titles, and then, of course, Orange Cassidy, but he was well focused on RA Fox. I have to say this was a pretty good match, too, because I was enjoying how things were going. But I had a feeling that this match was definitely going to fall into Kyle Fletcher's. So he applied like a tombstone on a pile driver, tombstone, whatever it was. Boom, he picked up the match. Next up, we got Willow Nightingale versus Hyon. I have to say it's a pretty interesting match, but of course, this match did fall in favor to Willow Nightingale when she applied the Dr. Bomb, and it was over right from there. Now, our next match, we have the Kingdom, Mike Bennett and Matt Taylor, along with Maria Kanellis. They take on Mac Attack, Willie Mack, and Ninja Mac. I thought this was a very interesting warm up for both Ninja and Willie teaming up for the first time. But I thought, how do I say, it was very impressive. I mean, they did not pick up the win, but you can tell it's only their first match. Sooner or later, they will pick up a good win between both Ninja and Willie. But it was the Bennett with the Proton Pack onto Ninja Mac, and it was over right from there. Our next match, we have our former Ring of Honor World Women's Champion, Mercedes Martinez, taking on Dream Girl Ali. You can guess this match ended with, of course, Martinez with the sleeper, and it was done right from there. Now, another interview conducted by Dasha this time with Mac Attack. I had to say this is as I said before that they this is just their first, but this is not going to be their last because like the old saying from the phrase from at the Ace of Spades song by Motorhead, you win some, you lose some, it's all the same to me. So basically, Ninja Mac knows there'll be some wins, there'll be some losses. So that's no makes no uh how to say no problem because it's gonna happen. But you can bet on that they will pick up their first win when it happens. So we'll be watching that. Now, our next match we have Ashley DeBronze taking on Daniela Camella. Pretty good match, but this match was more of how do I say? Um, it seems like Daniela was got much of the control of this match in every aspect, but somehow Ashley the Boss was able to overcome the beatdown. She was I don't know exactly what she pulled off to pick up the win with a side slam. I couldn't see it clearly, but it got the job done. Next match we got the King of Sneaky Style, Rocky Romero versus Titus Alexander. Pretty good match, but of course, you cannot count out Rocky Romero with his little spiderweb move. But he did pick up a really good win when he applied the armbar out of nowhere and forced Titus Alexander to tap out. Now, this is a much unusual match. We have the Righteous, Vincent and Butch teaming with Stu Grayson, who still represents the Dark Order, but it's still unclear what the hell is going on. But they take on LSG, Varian Morales, and Marcus Cross. But even the Dark Order were on the outside at the ramp trying to make heads or tail what's going on here. But it's still unclear what's the purpose. But when Vincent applied the Autumn Sunshine onto Marcus Cross, he had Grayson to pick up the win. We don't know what was that purpose, why he did it. He had the match won, but he decided, I'm going to give Grayson the opportunity. But the obvious thing is still uncertainty. Will Grayson makes the choice to jump to the Righteous? I don't know, because they claim they think they know Grayson because, oh, he came back, but Dark Order moved on without him. But I don't know. We all thought that they were happy to be together now, but we don't know how the uncertainty is with this. Not even Evil Uno, who's been tag teaming with him for years, cannot make no heads or tails on this one. Now, our next match, we have Tony Deppen taking on Jarlistico. You know Deppen, he's a hard hitter. He knows what he was going to do, but it was Jarlistico with the Fujiwara armbar to put him away, giving him the win. Now, our next interview by Dasha, she interviews Nick Camarado. He makes reference to his opponent, of course, All Heart Blake Christian. He thinks that this All Heart thing is a load of crap, but we'll see when we get there. Next match, we have Miranda Elise taking on Sky Blue. I mean, Sky Blue has been one of those wrestlers we have seen grown so much. Miranda Elise, who's we've seen her before in Ring of Honor in the past. You probably can tell she's going to bring whole lot of attitude towards Sky Blue. But Sky Blue, on the other hand, she is always overcomes everything. But she applied a somewhat of a Kuma roll onto Elise to pick up the win. Now, our next interview we see is Athena. We saw what she did. She attacked Kara Hogan, who was just doing her part. But of course, Athena thinks that she is the boss of everything, that sort of thing. um it's very interesting what she was doing, but she should be more careful what she's doing. uh oh yeah, no, never mind. I skipped the match. Let's talk about the provisional match for the women's title, Athena versus Promise Braxton. I thought this match was pretty good. I thought Braxton throw in a bit of submission. I didn't think of it was going to be that good, but it was pretty good. But unfortunately, Athena applied the crossface to have Braxton to tap out. But here we go again in the post match. She tries to attack her, but apparently Athena got a taste of her own medicine. She didn't not believe that happened. She's never been attacked in this fashion. It's always her attacking her opponents after she's done with them. But of course, Athena's not going to forget this. Even Lexi tried to do that. But the obvious thing is, what's going to happen now? So Athena had this to say that she's going to put her her championship on the line next week against Kara Hogan, but she cannot get over the fact she got what she had coming for a long time. So yeah. Now our next match we have Cole Carter teaming with Zach Clayton. They take on Action Andretti and Darius. Pretty good match, great tag team, but it was Darius who picked up the win when he pinned Carter when he applied a somewhat of a, what was it, a slam, pendulum swim, or swinging side slam, whatever they call it. But it was pretty good. I think it was interesting. Next match we have Nick Comoroto versus Blake Christian. Nick Comoroto, I have to say, he was giving a very good beatdown onto Blake Christian. Try to prove a point to say that this whole all heart nonsense is a load of crap. But Blake Christian used his head, brought in a chair, and it distracted Nick Comoroto, but he was able to pin him with a wheelbarrow roll up, and it was over. That was a pretty interesting match. I'm sure Nick Comoroto is not going to forget this. I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be a feud between those two. Next up, we got Trish Adora versus Diamante. Interesting match, but of course, Diamante was the one who walked out with the win with a very interesting submission, and it was over right from there. Now, our next match, we have Slim J versus Penta. I have to say this was a really good match. Slim J wasn't going to take any crap from Penta, but you know, Penta, he doesn't give a rat's ass. It's all about cero miedo. So, Slim J probably did not expect a whole lot of what was going to happen, but he ended up at the wrong side of the fear factor, and it was over right from there. Now, our next match, we have Matt Sydal and Christopher Daniels teaming up to take on the television champions, Zack Sabre Jr. with the IWGP World Television title, and the Samoa Joe, who is our current Ring of Honor World Television title champion. I thought it was interesting, but I had a feeling this match was definitely going to go straight to Zack and Joe, because they're two of the most interesting competitors ever, because I want to see the showdown between these two to see who really is the true television champion. But it was, of course, the choke slam, the choke hold by Joe to put away Daniels, and that's it. So we don't know when that match will take place. I'm sure we're definitely going to be hearing about it at some point. I think that's pretty much it right now with Ring of Honor. So let's move on with news updates. Okay, welcome to our news update. So this is what we have for everyone. Our GCW updates, this is what we do know. Now, as you know, this Friday we have the lifestyle event. Zack Sabre Jr. is set to appear, but the opponent was not announced. Fortunately, it did announce now. It's going to be none other than Jordan Oliver. So by the time this video is out, you probably will be hearing about it sooner, if not. And then finally, of course, we have the Ride or Die event taking place in June on the 23rd. Lufisto will be facing Stephanie DeLanders. This is going to be very interesting to see. MLW has announced for a debut that will take place on July 8th in Philly for the Fusion Television. They're going to have Ichiban. Now, I have seen Ichiban before on Beyond Wrestling and Wrestling Open, but I'm so excited for them to pick this guy up. He's really really fun to enjoy the watch. So if you guys never seen Ichiban before, you should check him out. Spark, Joshi Puroresu of America has announced for their Ignite East on the 11th of June. They're going to have Brittany Blake. So basically, they're still adding more people now. Still don't know yet if there's still more coming up, but we'll just wait and see. Now, finally, this one was really interesting. Now, as you know, we're only 1 month away before the Forbidden Door. Many questions have asked about this, and I think many of you have about the Forbidden Door. I even questioned about this. I said this that I hope we do have any talent from Stardom. I mean, people wanted to see that last year with the last Forbidden Door, but however, the Wrestling Observer actually posted this out this is what I found. Um, they said Tony Khan says they could potentially have Stardom talent at Forbidden Door 2, but it depends on the length of the show and if if it improves what they do. Not 100% in his hands, but it would be great participation. He has also again defended the length of his shows. Now, we have seen many people criticize Tony Khan for the length of the shows that he's done in the past. So that's always been the case. But however, I know that many of you would like to have a Stardom talent to be there. That is something we definitely want to see. Um, I'm sure many of you probably think Mercedes Monet should be in it, but since she's out on injury, it's still unclear when she'll be back. But um, I'm sure some of you probably will have thought about who would be it. I know some of you will say Julia. Some of you may think maybe Kyrie. Some of you may think of some other ones, but we just don't know. It's still unclear. But Tony Khan knows that this is not under his hands, but he hopes to. Hopefully, it could happen. We definitely want to see talent. I mean, last year we only had Tony Storm versus I forgot who she was facing, but it was very interesting to see. So we'll find out. Until then, um, let's just right now call it a day right here. Well, I hope everybody enjoying this episode. Coming up, well, as you all know, we have AEW Rampage and NXT Level Up. But however, right now we are heading to the semifinals of the Best of the Super Juniors. But the obvious question does tell: who will walk out as the winner for the Block A to face the winner of Block B? That is something we definitely going to be seeing. Uh, I know some of you already thought about who could be. Others are still trying to debate it or who do you want to see. To me, I'm just going to wait and see because I definitely want to see who walks out. And also some good news. If you guys remember, this past Tuesday, we had the Baka Gaijins and Friends Volume 5. However, that wasn't even posted um, on their YouTube. There was some certain things, but now they're saying that it's already available on their YouTube channel. I'm not sure if that's true, but if it is, then I'm definitely gonna be checking out. Well, let me check it out right now so I can see because oh yes, it is. So I will be reviewing that. So we're gonna have the Baka Gene and Friends Volume 5, the New Japan Best of the Super Juniors, and then of course AEW Rampage and NXT Level Up. So we're gonna do those four. So we have a plan. This weekend we're still gonna be seeing what's gonna happen. Don't forget we got the Night of Champions this coming weekend, and also don't forget that we have Stardom's Flashing Champions. We're gonna have the Artist belts on the line. We have the Goddesses belts on the line. Oh yeah, and of course the Double Crown Champion match between Tam Nakano and Mina. And I did state that match before that one could end in a draw, but we'll see what happens till then. So we'll see. So for now, I'll see you guys on the next uh, episode. So I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye, and have a nice day.